faculty, SD12 and SD13. Welcome to the first showing of SD Connect. I am Jackie McKenna, and on SD Connect's team is Chris Bianchi, Mira Penterman, and Samuel Ryzek.
Yo.
Here's our agenda. We're going to go over the vision and demo, then get into the technical aspects, and then finish off with challenges and our next steps. So here was our initial vision for SD Connect. As you can see, it's the initial wireframe. We have our login page. When you log in, the profile page is then displayed, and you can see your photo with your coding experience, GitHub website, personal website, and more. Then the next wireframe shows our forum where people can chat, and you can see SD Skill Distillery announcements and calendars and events. Then lastly, the last wireframe is our resources page where alumni and current students can connect and also collaborate and do a one-stop shop and provide documents such as resumes, cover letters, and more. So let's go to our demo. So here we are. We're at our login page, excuse me. So I wanted to show you here that we wrote some code to prevent duplicate emails from getting into our database. So just want to show that to you guys. And there you go, it pops up. Sorry, that email's already registered. So this is proof to show that you cannot have duplicate emails within our database. All right, let's go on to the actual homepage itself. We're going to log in as an admin, Chris Bianchi. Logging in, and here we are at the homepage. As you can see, we have threads, SD events, and projects. Here, let's select a thread, looking for tips and guidance. So you can see Mira posted a question, then Christopher, myself, Chris K, and Samuel all responded. And if you wanted to respond to the post, you can click here, create a new post, and then add it if you wanted to. Let's go check out SD events. The same thing can happen as well with SD events. You can add a new event if you want to as an admin, not as a student. And if you can delete as well. Lastly, with our project, you can see it's color-coded. I know as a student, I wanted to know if I had a weekend or not, so it's color-coded by the difficulty of the weekend project. So red obviously means you won't have a weekend, while yellow and green means you'll be able to enjoy yourself. Next, we'll go into SD users. And here you'll see all of SD Connect's users displayed. So you can see it down here. We have from SD11 to 13. Let's click on our profile, select Chris Barkowitz. Here you can see all of Chris's information, and if you want to know more about him, you can click on his website, his GitHub, and LinkedIn. Let's go to resources lastly. So I mentioned briefly that we wanted to make a one-stop shop. So here we have resumes, interview questions, and website samples that we received from other cohorts, so we can check them out. So if you wanted to look at Chris Bianchi's resume, you can see it right here if you needed some inspiration on how to write a resume or what you want on your resume. This concludes the demo itself. I will now be followed by Samuel.
Hi, good morning. We use Trello as our Kanban tracker for the entirety of the project. Our typical day started out with a morning sit down where we talked about what we wanted to accomplish for the day, what we needed to get done. After lunch, we had a quick meeting where we would talk about what we were able to get done that morning and if we were encountering any issues, and then we'd have a final meeting at the end of the day to talk about what our plans were for the next day. All that was tracked using Trello. Next slide, please. This is our wireframe of what actually happened. So Jackie went over kind of the initial view of what we'd like to have happen. This is what actually occurred, and this is just kind of a quick breakdown. I'll turn it over to Chris, who's going to go over some CRUD for you.
Hey, thanks Sam, I appreciate that. Welcome guys. So let's talk about the nuts and bolts of what this project was meant to do. Essentially, we wanted to create a platform that would provide CRUD functionality for our users. However, we wanted to provide different functionality based on whether or not a user was an administrator or just maybe a student. So administrators were able to create, read, update, delete on posts, users, topics, and more, whereas the user was only able to modify or create things that the security permissions allowed them to do via their unique ID, because we didn't want them to be able to modify or make changes to something that didn't belong to them. Next, these are some of the tools that we used. We built our database and our backend on MySQL with the Java logic being performed in Spring. And our front end was designed with HTML, CSS, a little bit of Bootstrap, and Angular. And our dependency and injection handling was handled by Gradle as well as Spring. And we used the collaborative software Git in order to share files and communicate with each other and maintain on task. Next, I'm going to turn it over to Mira.
Hi, this is one of our code snippets. This is from the HTML portion of the Make a New Thread. One of the challenges we had here was we needed a list of the optional tags, and so that they could choose from that list as a drop-down menu. And we originally were doing just a regular HTML select. It wasn't working, so we needed to use an NG options. It's one of the Angular versions of the select, and then it was working. And then this one is from one of our JavaScript files, and this is how we tell you whether or not you're going to be having a red, yellow, or green weekend. We were using the ng class in the HTML to choose what color background to use. Some of the challenges we ran into, the registration, we had a situation where we were logging in and trying to log in a new user, and it was not accepting special characters, which of course if you're going to have an email, that was a problem. And do you want to discuss the PDF viewer?
Yeah, let's finish this off. Okay, another issue we came across was a PDF viewer. So we wanted some functionality where a user could go ahead and scroll through a resume page, so to speak, and they could see a scrollable function that would allow them to view a resume right on that same site without redirecting to a new page. However, the issue is we were unable to load the resource in a nested HTML element, but it would show up on the index. So that was something we had to scrap for a future edition. CSS provided some issues, and then the forum filter. Mira, do you want to talk about the forum filter?
Yeah, so we wanted to do an inline filter in the HTML, and we were just running into some issues, so we ended up doing some more back end to handle that function.
Awesome. Well, let's get into our next steps. Our project was excellent, but there's always room for improvement. So we wanted to go ahead and add some functionality and specs for our instructors. Right now, there are certain features that couldn't be changed through the website platform itself, and things that would need to be done off of the MySQL database. So it would be excellent to go ahead and implement and improve those features to it. The forum search bar, we wanted to put in a function that would allow users to type in a keyword and search for topics, resumes, cover letters, etc. by that keyword itself. The pre-work tracker for students was our third topic that we want to get to. And that just came about because we all had a bit of discrepancy in the amount of pre-work that we were assigned before we got here. And to just have a cohesive, easy to track place for that, we thought would be beneficial for our students. Finally, adding students' locations based on profile info, maybe to help match them together in order to help them connect with each other. And also we wanted to add an S3 bucket to the profile and resource page. As of now, a lot of our resources are hard-coded in, but in the future, we would like the functionality to be able to allow our users to upload stuff themselves directly via the S3 bucket. So that's certainly on our list of next steps. So thank you. That was our presentation, and please let us know if you have any questions.